I honestly have no idea how to start this video. Having a sexuality that's not straight, for some people, is mind-boggling. Who you love is such an intimate thing. You shouldn't feel ashamed of it. So basically, I'm just gonna try and sum up everything that I want to say in this little video. So if you are interested in hearing that, then keep watching. Growing up, I always liked men. I feel that as a female, we are always taught that we have to like men. We kind of grow up with that embedded into our heads. It wasn't until the 6th grade, and I remember this day so clearly, all of us girls were talking about the guys that we liked, and at that very moment that we were talking about all the guys that, you know, we had crushes on, I really deep inside didn't feel like it was weird to feel the same about girls, and it was very strange to me. I felt completely disgusted with myself. I felt lost. I felt confused, and I didn't say anything to any of my friends. I just talked about the guys that I thought were attractive. Ugh. So that year went by. I still felt very the same way about girls, and looking back, I don't think it's weird to feel that way about girls. I think that as females, we all get curious. I mean, even males to a certain extent. Like, I mean, as much as you want to be a bro and say that you've never thought about, you know, another guy looking hot or another guy, I think that it's super normal to feel that way. But now the difference was, although I did think that females were absolutely attractive, I think that we all have like our girl crushes and stuff like that, I felt like it wasn't weird to have a intimate relationship with a girl. And I think that that's when I realized that maybe my sexuality wasn't just for men, but I pushed it aside and I didn't say anything to anyone. I didn't talk about it because I didn't want to be weird. I didn't want to be different. Fast forward to 8th grade, and I had lovely friends who were very experimental, very open, and we kind of would always talk about, you know, would you kiss a girl? Would you make out with a girl? And it was honestly just for fun, but we talked about it. And the more that I seemed to talk about it, the more I felt sexually attracted to women, and not just in like a fun going to house party, kiss a girl. It was more like, no, I could actually see myself with a girl. But at the time, again, I was super confused, and I kind of just, being open about your sexuality a few years ago was just not, it's not, I mean, even today it's not easy to talk about because you don't want to feel different. And I would kiss on the cheek and someone would make a comment like, ew, that's gross, or, you know, just little remarks like that, where to someone who is questioning their sexuality, you really pick up on those things, and it just makes you feel even worse about yourself. So I ended up kissing my first girl in 8th grade. At that moment, maybe it was just like a little gaydar went off in me, but I was just like yes, like, exactly, this is exactly what I was like. I was just like, you know, that was completely for fun. But inside I was just like, Jen, like, you need to come to terms with who you are. Stop pushing your sexuality. And I realized in that moment that I didn't care who I loved. I love for what's in here, not what's in your pants, you know? And it takes so long to figure out your sexuality. Don't just wake up one day and find a ticket on the ground that says you're gay or you're bisexual, or you just don't figure it out like a movie. And even to this day, I don't label myself. I don't feel the need to label myself. And for me, that's what makes me feel comfortable. If labeling yourself makes you feel comfortable, then label yourself. There's nothing wrong with that, and you should take pride in who you are. All of those times years ago of insecurity, just being afraid of being who I was, I think that it's kind of built me into who I am today, and why I am so open and I talk about my sexuality all the time, because I don't want to be that girl who sits there while maybe someone across the room is thinking, you know, oh my god, I like girls. Why do I like girls? I don't want to be there liking girls and not say anything. I want to be like, you know what? Hey, I like girls too. And not be uncomfortable about it. I think one of the biggest things throughout this whole journey has just been the fact that I kept telling myself who I was, and I wasn't just allowing myself to be who I was. I kept just like pushing away these thoughts, and that was the toughest thing throughout this whole thing, is just I would always second guess myself. I never once allowed myself to truly just feel how I wanted to feel and be who I wanted to be, because I was so afraid of what others would think of me. At the end of the day, it feels so refreshing to now not be afraid to say that I do feel the same for girls as I do about guys, and I personally feel so much better having come to terms with that. I think that it's so common for people who are questioning their sexuality to always kind of confuse themselves. You might tell yourself that you're not bisexual enough or you're not lesbian enough, and there doesn't need to be a label for it or a certain category for what you're feeling. And for some people, labeling really does help, and it helps you identify who you are. But for me, labeling confused me even more than I already was, and I don't label myself as anything but just a person who wants to love people. That's just truly how I see myself, and it's made it a lot easier not having to stick a label on my forehead and be judged for that. So afraid that some people won't accept you, just know that some people will not accept what they don't understand, and that should not stop you from letting yourself be who you want to be. It is your life. It's not your mom's life. It's not your dad's life. It's not your friend's life. There's so many people out there that will accept you for who you are. Maybe just you need to go find those people, because they might not be the people that you are surrounding yourself by right now. And I can tell you that, yes, I lost a bunch of friends and I gained so many more, and I think that at the end of the day, everything happens for a reason. You're allowed to just love people because you want to love them. There's nothing wrong with that. And we need to stop the judgment. We need to stop telling girls that they need to love boys. And we need to stop telling boys that they need to love girls, because we're allowed to love whoever the fuck we want. Some people still to this day tear you down because you want to be who you are and live a life of freedom. Like, that's just nuts to me. And I do not want to be one of those people. I don't want to be surrounded by any of those people. And if people don't want to accept me for who I am, like, that's their problem. If you have a problem with my sexuality, I can't change that. For sure, I'm not going to change myself just because you don't like me. So that's kind of how my perspective has changed. I used to be so concerned over what other people would think of me, and today I'm kind of like putting myself on the table, and if you don't want to like me, well, that's your choice and that's your problem. But that's not my problem, because I like me, and at the end of the day, liking yourself is the most important thing in the world. Hopefully this video maybe will help you not be so scared of saying, hey, this is me, this is who I am, and there's nothing wrong with not being who your parents want you to be, or how you grew up, or just different, because there are so many people out there that are different, and once you come to terms with your difference, it doesn't feel so different anymore. And I just hope that this could help someone and maybe just not make you feel so alone in your journey of finding out who you want to be, or maybe just who you are. And if you're ever feeling alone, you can always just come back to this video, because I'll be here to give you a virtual hug and tell you that there's nothing wrong with being who you are, because I 100% will accept you, and I hope that you are surrounded by people who will accept you as well, because at the end of the day, there really is no standard of who you have to be. You can be whoever you want to be. And I think that we all should just be here to support each other, and yeah, why not? Love wins always.